Greetings friends and fellow aliens, and welcome to this video, which is video number, what am I on? 6. Video 6 in a, I know how to count really, in a 10 video series about cognitive distortions. These are the things that are in our brains that distort the way we see the world and hold us back from being a joyful person that actually can live up to our potential in most ways. My last video was on fortune telling, which is seeing that thing, that little event about yourself and imprinting your entire future as having the same result as that single negative event. A terrible way to go. And in a lot of ways related to this one, which is catastrophizing. Catastrophizing. It's a good word, right? Cat-ass-trophy. Catastrophe. I was going to hold up my cat's butt, but I thought better of it. Catastrophizing is basically assuming the absolute worst out of any potential situation that is in focus at the current moment. It's saying that it's expecting the absolute worst outcome out of every little event or thing that is going on. It is a crippling way to think. It's an awful way to treat yourself. And if I had to peg a cognitive distortion that is my number one, it's catastrophizing. Catastrophizing is also known as magnification. That's right. Magnification, right? Saying that I'm looking at this little event and I'm picking it out as the absolute worst thing that could ever happen. My eyes feel like they're about to be pulled out of my head with this thing on. This is good though, right? It's magnifying that little negative event and saying, oh my God, look at how massive it is, right? This little thing that happened, this negative thing that happened, I am making it gigantic. Likewise, you can do the same thing with minimizing, which would be putting these things on you and saying, oh, well, that's actually kind of cool. And saying, hey, now you look really, really tiny to me, right? And maybe that's the positive thing that I was looking at. It's got this cool light too. Like everything about this is pretty wild, right? Jackie uses this thing to have up close looks at her plants when she tries to get them to have plant sex. I'm just saying. So it doesn't take a genius to figure out why catastrophizing is a terrible thing, right? And it is basically that. I saw somewhere that it's called the binocular trick, right? If you look through a pair of binoculars, whatever you're looking at seems giant and awful. It's that little negative thing that has happened that you have now made enormous, right? It's saying that I got stung by a bee and it was probably this big and it had like 9 stingers and it pretty much was like about to chew my arm off, right? No, I'm catastrophizing a bee sting. Now, I hate bees. I love honeybees. They're wonderful. Bumblebees, totally good. But when you're talking about like yellow jackets, they're just assholes. But a lot of times we do this. We take a singular negative thing that has happened and immediately conflate it into something grand and huge when it is truly not that big of a deal. Now, granted, some bad things happen and they are big and bad, right? It's the big bad in your TV show. It's the giant monster. It's the big thing. Sure, that can happen. But that doesn't mean that we should take every single negative thing that happens to us and turn that into the worst thing ever. They didn't put enough oat milk, or they were out of oat milk at Starbucks, so I couldn't get the latte that I preferred. That's not the worst thing ever, right? That's a really dramatic example, but it's kind of an example of catastrophizing. Or like a promotion at work, something that didn't go your way. And all of a sudden, it's just like your career is over. No, your career is not over. You missed out on one opportunity that you could have had, right? There are plenty more opportunities ahead. It's not the thing that's going to sink you and all of a sudden your family can't eat and then everything's going to fall apart and you're going to lose your house and you're not going to have a car and you're going to be in a box somewhere on a sidewalk begging for money. No, that doesn't happen because you just missed out on a promotion. But that's what catastrophizing does, is it takes this one singular event and it just follows this logical pattern to the worst possible ending you could dream up. But you know what? That's all it is another form of dreaming. It doesn't exist. It's not real. It's not true. Catastrophizing makes it feel that way. The magnification aspect is taking that little thing and making it huge. but it also works in terms of minimization. So that one good thing that happens to you, you look at it with those binoculars flipped around, and it seems tiny and small. I am guilty of this too. And it's something that takes some work to get over, right? Now I kind of see the duality in these things. As somebody that's older and a bit more mature as an INFJ, I have a more reasonable outlook on all of these things, a more patient outlook, if you will, on all these things, and more patience with myself when I see them. So when I see that bad thing happen, like I post up a story or something like that, I put a story in a contest and the story doesn't even make one of the 50 runners-up spots, I don't look at that anymore like, I'm the worst writer ever, I'm never going to have a career, and I'm terrible, and so on and so forth. And likewise, when I get a positive review on the book, I'm not looking at that and saying, well, that doesn't matter because one person didn't like it. So there is a balance involved, and catastrophizing goes kind of both ways. You maximize the little negative things and you minimize the positive things that you should be happy about and should be a reason to celebrate. Let me know in the comments, my fellow catastrophizers, if this is something that you struggle with on a day-to-day basis and what you do to kind of get a handle on it. If you do anything at all, or if this is something that you need to work on, let us know, right? Say something about it. I'm really curious to see some of your responses on this one in particular because it's a big one for me. The next video in this 10 video series is on emotional reasoning, and I can't wait to attack that one because that's going to be super fun for us INFJs out there. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Consider joining this channel. The button is down below. It's real easy to do. You join up, you get access to our membership group on Facebook, you get to use some emojis, and there's members only content as well. I would love to see you as part of that group. And I love seeing you out here anyway, regardless of whether you are supporting the channel that way or not. I am grateful that you are here and listening and hanging out with me. I appreciate you folks, and I will see you on the next video very, very soon.